Uh,
All right. We are live. I believe we are live. Welcome, everybody, to the RoundTable. This is the 64th meeting. This is small but mighty. Just remember, everything you hear today is an opinion, so do your own research. RoundTable. This is the 64th meeting. And we have an echo here, which is great. So it is working. It is streaming. That's a good thing. We just had proof that it is streaming. By the way, we're going to post some links. But we're going to try to get it up on YouTube as well. So far, we haven't been very successful in getting the links anywhere but in the chat. But Tina has been doing the best she can, and so the links might go up a little bit late, but we're going to do what we can to get you the links of the stuff that we talk about. Okay, so there we go. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope everybody is safe and sound and healthy. That's in the room. And so basically the first thing that I want to talk about today has to do for Michael Strickland. It says, and it's basically, it only takes 2 minutes. I did it myself. I'll read this to you so that we're clear on it. Please take 2 minutes that this call to action requires. It just might assist all of us. It must assist all of us in the production professional industry. The Music Act, SA 2412, will provide relief to individuals and small businesses hardest hit in the entertainment industry who were left out to prior relief rounds. So just fill in your name and address, and it'll send a letter to your senators and congresspersons. So we'll throw that link into the chat, and we will definitely get that link out into the real world as well with YouTube and Facebook. We'll make sure that we do those links. Hey, Michael or David, I'm seeing I'm in Thailand right now. I did not hear, but I heard that the Senate did pass an infrastructure bill. And did it include the Music Act?
So yes, infrastructure bill was passed. Did it include the Music Act? I don't know. And as of yesterday, even Mike Strickland didn't know. He had to read through and find it, but he was fairly, at least the tone of his email indicated to me that he seemed fairly confident that if it wasn't in the infrastructure bill, that it would be in the next bill that was coming down the pike. And then one way or the other, it would be that provision would pass.
Yeah. The next is 3 times the size of the one that just passed. Right. The one that passed is $1 trillion, and the next bill they're talking about $3.5 trillion.
Yeah, that $1 trillion. By the way, Barack Obama couldn't get it passed for a quarter of that. He couldn't. So this is pretty cool that they did get it. They did get it passed, and it was bipartisan. A lot of senators, I believe, 20 Republican senators voted for it. So there might be some relief on the way. It'd be great that things that are starting to happen, and the gridlock in Congress just might become a thing of the past. Nah, I doubt it.
Turns out that the Republicans can claim.
I doubt it. That'll happen.
What I was going to say is the Republicans can claim victory in this as well as the Democrats. That's why they went for it. They didn't go for it out of the goodness of their heart.
No, and even originally, if you go back 2-3 weeks ago, President Biden made a point of calling out a couple of senators that were going around to their constituents within their home state touting the infrastructure bill that was coming their way, but at the same time obstructing it when they were in DC and not wanting to pass it. And in that vein, finally, some of them had to kind of fess up like, yes, I'm going to vote for this no matter what, because it helps my constituents, even if my party doesn't want to give Joe Biden any wins.
Yeah, because infrastructure, historically has been a Republican thing. It's just that the matter of the obstructionists because they want to get back into power. So they've been really holding back or really causing some disruption in the way things are running. But this is a good sign. I think we're going to see this as law, and there's going to be a lot of money, and it'll help the economy. And it will help the economy in such a way that people living up in San Francisco will be able to have more money so they could buy these club level seats. Have you heard about this on Levi Stadium right now? They have club level seats, right? They're like armchairs, and they go on the field. They're actually on the field where people have armchairs sitting, big red leather armchairs right on the field, and they're able to watch the game as if they were watching it on TV at home in their armchairs. It's like crazy. Have you seen, I could just imagine the first errant pass where one of these, a fullback or a halfback or a linebacker, runs into these chairs, and that'll be the end of these casual watchers of the football game. Has anybody heard of that yet?
No,
Did
but
you hear about that? Picture of it?
Out of play. So.
Yeah. Anyway, they're unbelievable. They're beautiful chairs too, by the way. Wouldn't mind getting a couple for the house. Anyway, another thing happened. That a fisherman caught a fish that has human teeth. I don't know if you saw that, but Steve Sluter's not here, so we can't really talk about it because he would be the expert in that. So that's about the size of it.
I saw the picture.
Right, another bit of news. Netflix is now going into gaming. So if we had competition before and people going to see concerts, now Netflix is out there trying to keep people at home to play games. And while people are playing games at home, Walmarts now will pay 100% of college tuition and books for their qualified employees. And so that's something that's exciting, and hopefully they'll get smarter and they'll go to more concerts. That's what I like.
What makes qualified that they're going to put up $100,000, $150,000?
I have no idea. That's why I said, you got to do your own research. I'm just giving you the tidbits. You've got to figure it out yourself. That's it. This is a self-help show where you have to help yourself. That's about it. It's like a smorgasbord of information. You pick what you want, and then you eat it up at your table. That's where it's at. So, recreational marijuana laws. It looks like this might be the beginning of legalized marijuana throughout the United States. It seems that Joe Biden is in favor of legalizing marijuana.
When did that change?
What?
When did that change? He hasn't been a proponent of that.
When he realized that working white middle class voters are probably staying Republican for the next 2 election cycles, and he had to replace that demographic with another demographic, he found one.
Yeah. The problem is if you smoke marijuana, you just don't care to go out and vote. That could be the problem, so it might be a double-edged sword. But no, right now there's so much money involved in this. There's so much money. Anheuser-Busch, for example, has got pot fields, I've heard. And,
No, sir. They have hemp fields.
Oh, hemp fields.
They have hemp fields. They do not grow marijuana, sir. They
not
are
yet.
in the hemp business.
Yeah.
Now, oddly enough, that farm could be converted to marijuana really, really easily.
Yeah, but probably can.
Anheuser-Busch, they own a lot, like thousands of acres of hemp. Thousands.
I would bet Kraft's Food has something involved, and I would bet Archer Midland probably's got a bunch of it. And
RJ Reynolds has tens of thousands of acres of hemp.
That's right. I would bet. Oh yeah, of course. The cigarette manufacturers, they could easily transfer their tobacco crops into marijuana.
They are ready and waiting.
And I would bet that would be a lot more money than selling cigarettes.
Oh, absolutely. And if you think about it, in some ways, a lot simpler because your distribution chain becomes a lot smaller because you can't just sell marijuana cigarettes at 7-Eleven.
Has changed. To update your Wi-Fi information, go to the Alexa app.
Well, Alexa's on the case right now.
Alexa's talking back to David Dansky. David, you tell Alexa who's boss.
That's right. You tell him. You tell it. Really. So, as far as COVID news goes, Medicare, I just got a letter from Medicare because in case you hadn't noticed, I'm an old man. Medicare says that basically 80% of people over 65, 80% of people over 65 and older are fully vaccinated. And now they're encouraging us old folks to talk to us youngins to see if we can get them to go and get vaccinated as well, because of this Delta virus, which is crazy. And we'll get into, but now everyone age 12 and older is eligible to get the COVID-19 vaccine for free. So, and as they say, remember, if you or a loved one are unvaccinated, you're at higher risk of getting seriously ill from the virus. And so everybody in the sound of my voice, I really highly recommend that you do get the vaccination, because it gives you a lot of freedom, it gives you more peace, it gives you peace of mind that you're not going to die, So here in Thailand, where I am right now, they started human trials for a nasal spray vaccine. And it's scheduled right now, if it goes well, by the end of 2021, they should have this perfected, and it'll be offered to the public so that, instead of taking a shot, you just go and you're vaccinated. And I think more and more people would do that, as well as I know that that there are companies working on oral, taking a pill so that you could do that. Have you heard anything about that?
No, that would be super handy, especially with kids.
Yeah, and so they're in trials right now. They're in trials to do. They're in trials for and that would be great at a concert. I mean, basically, just think, if you've been vaccinated, they could have nasal spray booths right there. Where next thing you know, they're vaccinated. It would be cool. I think it would be really, really good. Anyway, Live Nation came out with the best COVID practice, and that's pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Did you see that? It was published just this week. Evidently, somehow, it was an internal memo that somehow got leaked. Did you guys see that? By any chance?
No, missed that. Tell us.
Well, I'll tell you about it. I'll pull it up right now. I'll pull up the page, and I'll read it to you. Live Nation has shared details of an internal memo outlining some of its best practice in relationship to artists to determine whether shows should require attendees to prove vaccination or negative tests. The U.S. company's employees will be required to vaccinated to enter the show. So they're basically saying all their employees will be vaccinated in order to work there, and it's effective as October 4th, with limited exceptions as by law. And so that's basically really cool that more and more companies are now saying, okay, here it is. This is what they say. In support of this model and to continue leading by example, we will be requiring all our employees in the U.S. to be vaccinated to enter one of our events, venues, or offices, with limited exceptions as may be required by law. The requirements will go into effect October 4th. Well, I just said that. And so as far as we are working to ensure we're opening best way possible for staff, artists, and crews, fans, communities at large, our teams have worked together to put a new process in place so that artists doing shows with Live Nations in the U.S. can require all attendees to be staff and to be fully vaccinated for a show. So that's what Live Nation's doing. So they might start saying that, hey, you want to come to a show with Live Nation, you've got to be vaccinated. And that's a possibility. Hey, Steve, you're in the room. I just did a story about fishing, about this guy caught a fish that had human teeth. Did you see that?
No, I missed it.
Damn. We'll have to show you the link. That's all there is to it. We'll get the link.
How's Thailand?
Thailand's amazing. Thailand is amazing. My life here in Thailand is one of rest and relaxation. And of course, right now it's 5:22 in the morning and the sun is about to come up. And so I have it all set up so that I could show you what your money buys here in Thailand. That's it, and we'll
you
do
look
that.
wide awake.
Well, I took a nap. It's like, this is the way life should be in normal. You go to sleep when you're tired and you wake up when you're awake. And then you do what you got to do. And if you get tired, you take a nap. Then you wake up again and you do what you got to do. So it's really cool, And because of the schedule here, that were anywhere between 11 and 14 hours difference. I'm ahead of you guys. So it works out really well. So I've decided I would work like 4 to 5 hours a day. So if I start my day at 9 o'clock at night, finish at about 1 in the morning, which is it's not really that much of a stretch to do. Then when I'm finished, I go to bed and, wake up at 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, and then I start my day again, and then I can take a nap or I get a massage. Full body massages here is like $9 US money.
Oh, wow.
And the US dollar right now is strong as it's ever been in the last 30 years here. So it was up to 33.20 per dollar, and I have a feeling that it might go up to 40. And if it does to 40, I will be, considering myself a millionaire.
You are the king.
Well, no, there is a king. I will be, I'll be just in his court. I will be more of the Joker than the king. I'll be more of the Joker. But anyway, so I hear the jazz festival in New Orleans got canceled, or some big festival got canceled.
Yep. The only one we have right now that's still on the books, hadn't canceled yet, is the Buku Fest. We have, we're doing video walls for that, I believe.
Yeah. And Ken Porter's in the room because he was just talking to me a little bit about Nashville, about this Grand Prix. Ken, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Boy, just clicked on and I'm already on air.
That's it, baby. You're on air.
They had 110,000 people Sunday. It was all outdoors, it went really well. A lot of stuff going on. They're talking about we have 3 more years of it. They need to work on the track a little bit. There was a fair amount of crashes, a lot of red flags, and
there were a lot of yellow flags. That was I think at one point towards the end, there had actually been more laps under yellow than green laps.
Well, the most lap led at one point, someone said, was the pace car.
Yes, no, that is true. The car that led the most laps for that race was the pace car.
One point I asked somebody, the guy was near me, who said, don't they need to refuel the pace car pretty soon, as long as it's been out? So,
wow.
Yeah,
that's pretty amazing.
But I had a main stage, a B stage, the victory circle, and a acoustic stage, all going on there for 3 days. So everything worked fine. And I had a lot of bands.
And of course, I only saw what they put on TV, the occasional shot of the grandstand, whatever, but I couldn't help but notice there weren't too many masks around.
Nope.
All right, we'll be watching.
Well, the thing that we need to think about right now is Lollapalooza in Chicago. They announced that 80% of the people in attendance had been vaccinated. So that's pretty cool. And they had like 70,000 people a day. But then again, you got Sturgis going on right now. And I heard they had 1 million people show up, not a mask in sight. Not a mask in sight.
And I only read the headline about Lollapalooza. How did they know 80%? Was it 80% simply claimed to have been vaccinated, or were they checking?
Well, our Google specialist, Tina, will be looking that up right now and give you the information, because she is pretty good on that. But while she's doing that, let's talk about some cancellations, because there are some people that are really concerned right now. Like, for example, the New Orleans Jazz Festival cancels for COVID. The Heritage Festival. Michael Bublé, he postponed his shows in August. Justin Bieber announced a 3-day Las Vegas weekend event, Viva Las Vegas. I don't know when that's happening, but that's something that's going on. So there are some cancellations. Ken, were you telling me there was some cancellations as well in your neck of the woods? I think Ken left the room for a second. Bathroom break.
Well, Stevie Nicks canceled her whole year.
She did?
Yep. She only had about 6 or 7 dates, but she canceled them all.
Wow. What's going on in Vegas, Mike?
Everybody's welcome. Come on. We'll take
What an open-ended question.
Mask, no mask, we don't care, apparently.
Well, what's happening though? Are any shows getting canceled in Vegas?
Not that I've heard, although I've been a little tied up this last week in particular. It's been crazy busy with both the contracting side and the trade show side because we're doing another show in Texas. But I haven't heard anything. I read the paper every day. I haven't seen anything in there either about shows getting canceled. Probably the most.
I'm sorry, did you say you're doing a show in Texas?
I am doing a show in Texas.
Would that be a Cavlo show?
Yes, the Cavlo show is going to Texas October 6th and 7th at Texas Live in Arlington, Texas.
This was not a paid political announcement, by the way. And
No,
I
don't pay for my political announcements. I just get people to say them.
Well,
and then we're going to Nashville next spring.
Oh boy, when?
I haven't figured it out yet. I'm looking at a couple different places, and obviously, and the dates differ when they're available. But looking at the kind of the first week of April, somewhere in there.
Oh, good. Right around Easter.
I want to be after spring break for sure, and if possible after Easter. But I want to be fairly early in Q2.
Oh, that's cool. So let me ask you in regards to what's going on in Vegas. Is the Cirque shows open yet? Do you know that?
Yes, some have opened. I couldn't tell you which ones, but a couple have opened, and I believe Blue Man Group is back too, which technically is a Cirque show now since they bought it. I believe there's two of the traditional Cirque shows, and Blue Man is also open, and then all the smaller shows are going too. Don, have you heard anything specific?
Yeah, Mystere's on has been, I think, since the 28th of June, and Blue Man's back, I think, on the 24th, so they've been back, and then next one to open is Love Show on the, I think they open on Thursday, the 26th of this month. So yeah, they're coming back.
That's good. I mean,
Yeah.
it's good because people are always asking me, what's going on in Vegas. And of course, I do follow some of the news, but now that I'm in Thailand, it's a little bit more difficult.
Well, and I will say for the fourth month in a row, we set a record for gaming revenue. So April was a record, May was a record, June was a record, and the July numbers were released a couple days ago, and those were also a record. And the only way we bring in more money via gaming is sheer numbers. It's just a numbers game. So our visitation is way, way up, despite all the problems with Spirit Airlines. And then I also read this morning that the Raiders Seahawks preseason game, which is the first preseason game for the Raiders and the Seahawks, week 1, and I believe it's the first preseason game of the season, is the most expensive preseason ticket ever in the history of the NFL. It is averaging almost $270 per seat, with really good seats, 50-yard line, lower level, those seats going for much more than that. And it's for a preseason game.
I don't know how you could think
Saturday.
that. Yeah, I don't know how you could think that's expensive. Just a hot dog and a Coke is $270 at the Raiders Stadium.
It's not. It's not expensive at all. When I did the tour there, I saw the prices and I ate there and had drinks. It's good. I'm going to the game this weekend, so I'll tell you, it's really.
There you go.
Expensive.
You're going to the most expensive preseason game in NFL history.
Well, I'll be there, raided out and all.
Apparently, Jan is paying you too much.
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say I'm paying her too much.
I'm not going to the
not
most
going to get me to say that.
NFL preseason game in history.
Yeah, well, I'm going. I'll be there Saturday, section 319 with all the Raiders at Black Hole.
Good for you.
Now, did your cousin have anything to do with this?
Yeah, because both of them have season tickets. So.
Ah, very nice. Why don't you tell people who your cousin is? Maybe they know.
Thank you. No, that's
fine.
Right.
If she tells you, we'll have to kill you. That's all there is to it. So that's about it. We can't tell you who it is, but believe me, I know who he is. Nice guy. All right. Anyway, but speaking of what we were talking about, Lollapalooza, according to what we just got Googled, more than 90% of the attendees showed proof of the vaccine to get in. So they were willing to show proof of vaccine. And
yeah, I did see video on that over the weekend too, and when I was watching Chicago News, and they had video of them walking in, showing their proof and scanning it and stuff. They were very tight on their security for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you also get Ken.
But the question is, if you have the vaccine and you can still get COVID and pass COVID and carry COVID, would that not be a super spreader event anyway, whether you have it or not, because everybody's getting a Delta variant, and now we got the Lambda variant next?
Theoretically, yes, but those what they're calling breakthrough infections, which are when somebody who's been vaccinated actually contracts the disease, are statistically very rare. You hear a lot about them in the news, but if you compare that to the millions and millions and millions of people who have been vaccinated, statistically, it's still very tough. And if you have the vaccine and do happen to contract COVID, the severity of your disease is dramatically less, and your likelihood of hospitalization is dramatically lower, and the likelihood of death is negligible. Whereas if you look at the nationwide statistic right now for people hospitalized with COVID, approximately 97.9% are unvaccinated.
And you could take those facts to the bank, because basically, the people that are dying, you don't really see pictures, but I actually have seen pictures of some of the people that have died from COVID, and every one of them had really underlying conditions, and most of them were obese. They're really, really chunky. So what can I say? Stay in shape and get vaccinated. And by the way, from what I understand, that the vaccines will now get full FDA approval in any moment now. At any moment, they'll be getting the full FDA, so people won't be able to say they're experimental drugs anymore. But really, the reality is they weren't really ever experimental drugs in the last 10 years. These things were developed for other things that they've modified to come in to take care of the COVID vaccine. I mean, it's like almost amazing. In America, people are saying we have to pay people to save their own lives. We have to pay them to save their own lives.
That lottery, for lack of a better term, here in Nevada is helping. Every week they're announcing somebody winning $25,000 or $50,000 for having gotten vaccinated. And if you're a minor, they put it in a 429 account for you, or a 529 account. Sorry, so it'll take care of your college tuition.
That's amazing. That's totally amazing. A friend of mine has two kids. They're both under 15. They both got vaccinated, and in LA they got a check for $50 each for being vaccinated. Yeah. So but here in Thailand, people would pay. They would pay to get the vaccine. But there's only 7% of the country here in Thailand that's vaccinated. And for those people who are concerned about my health, because the U.S. government just upgraded Thailand to a code 4, which means do not travel to Thailand. Where I am, I'm in the island of Phuket, which they created a sandbox. It's an island, they walled it off. And by the way, right now, there is no domestic air anywhere in this country. There are no planes flying domestically. The only planes that are coming in are international planes. And in order to get on an international plane, you have to have had both of your vaccines, and you had to have a negative test 72 hours before flying. And then upon arriving, you get another COVID test, and you're in quarantine for 12 hours until that result comes back. And then you have to take a test 6 days later and 12 days later before that you could do anything. And so it was originally that you could come here, sandbox, and then go anywhere in the country. But unfortunately, you can't go anywhere else because if you leave here, you can't get back in, and COVID is running rampant everywhere else. So basically, and now that America has downgraded their tourism, there is a big concern that the economy is going to even take a bigger dump over here than before. So, by the way, so don't worry about me. I am fine. There you go. Anybody else have anything they want to say? Oh, by the way, before you do that, could I say one thing about, we talked about Frontier Airlines briefly. Michael, you didn't really go into what's happening with Frontier, and that might be interesting.
I mentioned Spirit, not Frontier.
Yes, Spirit, I'm sorry. But Frontier and United Airlines just announced that all their employees have to be vaccinated or they have to look for a new job. And CNN fired three people because they wouldn't get vaccinated. So we're going to see more and more now employers saying, hey, you want to work here? You want to come back to work? You'll go in and have to, and the banks also.
And the flip side of that is today, Southwest, American, and Delta said they would not require their employees to get vaccinated to continue working there. So apparently I'm flying United from now on. Because why would I want to get into a metal cylinder with recirculated air with potentially a bunch of unvaccinated employees?
I don't know why.
I wouldn't. So I'll just go United.
There you go. Okay. So anyway, let's just open up the room. Does anybody have anything they want to say? Anything that's on their mind? They're pressing.
I want to take 1 second to acknowledge James Keaton, whom I've never met before, but he wanted to make sure that Jan knew that James finally made it on.
Well, James, do you have a microphone? Can you talk?
Yeah, I got a mic. Sorry. Jan's been bugging me to get on this forever, and I finally was able to. My schedule is opened wide up for the first time in 4 years. So
you look so relaxed. You look so happy. You look very, very happy.
James, for those of us who don't know you, it's probably just me, but who are you? What do you do? And why does James so much?
I'm a production manager, entertainment director for Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, Atlantic City. Been here since the opening of the property. It was the old Trump Taj Mahal. I just recently have decided to move on, and I'm heading to a new state to start a new gig. Going to learn a lot about the AV sales side of thing, where I've always been Johnny Rock and Roll. So now I'm going to be, wearing a suit and looking a little prettier, I hope.
Very cool. So how I met James when he was the audio director for Carnival Cruise Lines, and I have a lot to be thankful for meeting him. Everybody in this room is very special to me, that comes in. We have a bond that we've developed over the years. By the way, Ken Newman can't make it today. He's actually working in Dana Point. He's got a corporate gig.
And thank God, because when Ken's here, none of us can get a word in edgewise. So thank God he's not here.
Yeah. So, it's funny that what I do everything I can to market this show, because I believe it has value, because so many people will tell me that it has value to them. They enjoy it, the humor part of it, the knowledge part of it, all of the things they get from it. It seems to be, they say how great it is, but they're listening to on YouTube or Facebook, and they just don't come into the room. But the reality is the more people that come in the room, the more ideas we can share, the more concepts we can go through, and the difference of opinions we can get about our industry. So I encourage everybody to invite everybody that they know. If you enjoy this, invite them. I sent out like 9,000 invitations, and basically, the best 15 people showed up. The rest said, hey, they're not so good. They're not so good. So I highly recommend that. This is a good show for what ails you. It's better than therapy, that's for sure. So anyway, Greg, you have anything you want to say? Okay.
Okay.
Marceau fans, Greg is going to talk. All right, here you go.
I just wanted to mention something. You mentioned about Sturgis. I was up there last weekend to go ahead and help a buddy put up a system for a main stage. And, you know, I beat feet out of there on Sunday morning because I was wearing a mask. I was the only person in the city wearing a mask. I thought for sure somebody was just going to rip it off me. But, yeah, it was pretty crazy. And like I said, I said, there you go. I help you out. I'm not doing loadout. I'm heading back to Sioux Falls. I'm getting on the plane and going to Florida. You know, that's where I live. And Florida's just as bad, except at least some people wear masks, you know.
Yeah.
So
here in Thailand, if you get caught driving in your car, if you're in your car and you're not wearing a mask and they pull you over, it's a thick 6,000 of their dollar fine. That's 6,000 baht. So if you're a local, 6,000 baht is an awful lot of money. But for an American, it's $180. But for them, it's 6,000 of their dollars. So that is a huge fine. And so that means that they are really putting pedal to the metal to make sure that everybody's wearing a mask. Even here, where 80% of the people have been vaccinated. So that's something that their government is doing. They're really fighting it here. They're fighting COVID, and it's really important because their tourism is down 96% from last year, and that's outrageous, you know. So who else would like to say something?
All right, let me talk for a second.
Yeah.
I mentioned this before we went live, and it's worth mentioning again. The LA City Council voted 13-0 to create vaccination requirements for indoor public spaces, such as restaurants, movie theaters, concert venues. A requirement for your vaccine. All of LA. It's the first city to do that. So you got to prove it to get into a concert.
Yeah, and I still don't get how in some states where the governors are trying to outlaw vaccine passports or vaccine requirements, at the end of the day, if I'm a private business owner and I own a restaurant or a bar or a concert venue or whatever, I do believe it's still my right to choose who I allow to patronize my business. You know, the old no shirt, no shoes, no service stickers we used to see everywhere. So why can't I do that with masks? You
can do it, an individual, but you can't do it if, in other words, government offices, schools. That's what DeSantis is saying, you know. And by the way, their court overruled him. Norwegian Cruise Lines was asking for proof of vaccination. Greg, you know the story. Why don't you talk about it?
Yeah. All the cruise lines here are really hurting, and they want to get back. But this law saying that you can't have you can't require proof of vaccination for anything, basically. That was passed by the state legislature. Carnival went along with it, and they got COVID cases last week, and Norwegian just said no. We're gonna challenge it. So now the governor's gonna take it up to the next level. He wants to take it to the Supreme Court. You know, like what you were saying with Lollapalooza. Lollapalooza can't happen in Florida. That same what they did. Requiring people to show proof of vaccination. That's against the law in Florida right now. So it's pretty crazy. I don't see many large shows really happening in Florida until all of this is ironed out. It doesn't make sense from a promoter standpoint to go ahead and do it. Why have all the legal hassle? Even though the Stones are coming in here in October, but they're hoping everything's going to get ironed out by then. So,
Hey, by the way, did you guys hear that Brian May came down really heavy on Eric Clapton? Did you? That's like a big riff now that Brian May said Eric Clapton's like on glue, man.
Yeah, he says he loves him as a musician, but he's just don't agree on other things.
Yeah. You know, and speaking of which, Paul Wallace is in the room. And Paul, are you aware of what's going on in Austin right now with COVID, about how you're down to like only almost no beds left in the hospital? Paul, are you there?
Do I have audio?
Yeah. What's going on in Austin, man? How is it so bad?
I don't know. It surprised me because Austin, it didn't seem like that would happen, but we're down to 1 or 2 beds or 0 beds right now, and our governor's put at is like one of the no mask mandate states. So, it's tough because the school district is going against that. So yeah, it's just time to lay low in Austin right now.
Well, what are you doing? What are you doing personally to protect yourself?
Just not do anything. Stay home and avoid crowds and just I'm vaxxed. So
And which vaccination did you get?
I got the Moderna, two shots of Moderna.
And by the way, they say Moderna right now is like the leader in efficiency, whereas it's still, after 6 months, it's still 93% effective, only down 1% from 94 when we first got it 1 month later. And whereas all the others are kind of dissipating a little bit more, especially the Sinovac, which they're finding is not really a good alternative when it comes to the Delta. Paul, just a curious question. That picture of that football player, is that you as a youth?
I wish that's Ricky Williams.
There you go.
Running back.
Ricky Williams, the second greatest running back ever come out of UT.
Yeah. Second greatest, yeah. I mean,
and who was number one?
After Earl Campbell.
Mr. Earl Campbell himself.
Well, there you go. Tina, what do you have to say about that? Our resident sports expert.
I can.
Yeah. Jan, that was me back in the days when I was black and,
And then you
went
got
to
the black
UT.
slapped off you.
So, anybody have anything they want to share? Anybody else? I'm waiting for the sun to come up so I could show you around, but the sun is still not up.
So I had my first gig coming up, HBO Max reveal here in Hollywood. I got hired 3 weeks ago. I've been waiting for it. I was all set to call them up and say for next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I was going to call them up and say, okay, it's Monday. What can you tell me? What kind of console am I going to have? And I get an email saying it's been canceled. So I still have no work.
Right. I'm sorry to hear that. Now, Ken Porter, are you still in the room? Is Ken in the room still? Because he was telling me some gigs are being canceled as well. Does anybody know of any other gigs that are being canceled or anything like that, or going on or anything like that? Anybody have any?
I think
information
ACL
on that?
Festival's on shaky grounds right now. I haven't heard anything directly about it, but
And South by Southwest was canceled, right?
I haven't heard that. Did you
What
hear
about
that,
this
Jan?
year? I'm not sure. Did they have it this year?
I'll Google that right now.
Yeah. Steve, what's happened other than the Jazz Festival? Are you staying busy?
Yeah, we actually have quite a few installations lined up. So I think we're going to stay busy for a couple of months just with that. And got a couple of road gigs, corporate events that haven't canceled. And from what I understand, they're not going to cancel, whether they have 200 people or 2,000 people. So hopefully they don't cancel. And that's one in August, one in September.
That's good.
And then
What
we have a
about you,
few
Mike?
other small things.
Mike Frawley's in the room. He's from Houston, and Paul's from. What's going on in Houston, Michael? I know he's there. I know he's there. I sense him. I sense him.
See the lips moving. You just don't hear anything.
I can feel him. I can feel him in the room.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. It's coming. Oh,
Yeah,
there he is.
I was quieter than you expected, wasn't I?
Absolutely.
So we really haven't seen much cancellation stuff here. Things seem to be moving forward here. There hasn't been much that's really been canceled in Dallas or up in Oklahoma either. So I don't know why
we're hearing
Austin,
that
I don't know why Austin gets to have the privilege of being a hot spot. There's a very base part of me that wants to say there's some folks in Austin that need to have problems, but that's really ugly and I shouldn't say that.
Yeah. Well, if
Not
I remember
Paul, though. I
correctly,
love Paul to death. I still need to get up there and take Paul to lunch or something.
yeah. If I remember correctly, Austin is still the capital of Texas, right?
Yes. Yes.
So that's unusual that the capital would have that kind of problems. You would think that in the capital of the state that they would have it together.
Well, I think the highest population of people who have come from other states is probably in Austin. And maybe second, that's the only thing I can even kind of attribute to that. Seems like a lot of people have been trying to move to Austin, with a few to Houston.
Yeah, but I would see that Austin, the population should be lower because didn't all the Democrats go to Washington D.C.? Isn't that so? It shouldn't be that many people. Maybe that's why it's the problem. I don't know.
They're starting
I'm sure
to dribble back into the legislature now. They're coming back.
I'm sure that there's quite a few anti-gun people that having issues with our fair state with that and other things. But you know, Texas is a country all of its own, really. There's when you're this big and this powerful, you get to call it like you want it, I think. And that's always been Texas's way. You know, they're like the only state that could threaten to secede from the federal government. And the federal government actually stopped and go, oh crap, all right, what do we need to do here?
That's an urban myth. I lived in Texas for 15 years. You lost the right to secede 5 years after you joined the union. We're stuck with
Yeah, but don't tell that.
That doesn't mean they won't try. That doesn't mean they haven't threatened.
There is that. And you do have a fully independent power grid, as we learned this past winter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I felt how well that worked. I was without power for 85 hours.
Oh my gosh. I had friends that were without power for a week.
Yeah. I felt bad for them because I know how bad it was for us.
Thank God for wood fireplaces.
Yeah, that's exactly what got me through. I spent almost $800 buying wood.
Wow. Isn't Texas the state of exaggeration? That's what I heard.
Very well could
so
be.
Yeah.
Very well could be, but I got to tell you what, there's a lot of hombres here that will full on attempt to back it up. They're not afraid to show you.
I love it. Hey Joshua, you're up there in Wisconsin, right? Isn't that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
What's happening up there? What's the news from Wisconsin?
Right now we have our state fair going on. They're offering our world famous Wisconsin cream puffs for free if you get vaccinated. I have not been down there yet. Been too busy working up here. We've had some storms roll through. And they just announced yesterday, I believe, that the world's largest music festival, Summerfest, in order to get in, you have to show proof of vaccination or be subject to a COVID-19 test and be clear. So And like Texas, our capital in Madison has the highest COVID outbreak or whatever you want to call it down there, and that's the capital. So I don't know why that is. Every place else is kind of low, but Madison is like the hot spot right now. And about 80% of that county has been vaccinated. So
what about shows? Are there any others other than that? Are you doing local shows? What's happening?
I'm doing a lot of small local events. I just found out I'm doing the Ryder Cup. That was supposed to be like a 3-day event for us, and now it's turned into like a 10-day event because they want to set up 2 days before the event, and then you can't tear down to the Monday afterwards. They were flying this band in from Ireland, but now they found out that no one can get out of Ireland. And so now they're trying to find another band to headline the Saturday night show. But they're having a lot of like local state bands coming during the week and just kind of keep the golfers entertained. We just had an event up by me, a 2-day event that ended up, half of it got rained out. They ended up having to move everything to a tent. They were supposed to have, they had Slaughter on the headline Friday night, and that it was supposed to go on from 9 to 10:30 and ended up going from 10:30 to midnight. And then Saturday they canceled the whole grandstand show because there was so much rain and storms blowing through, they couldn't keep it going. So there's small stuff coming back up here. It's just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, anybody know anything about what's going on with this Dixie fire in California and how that's affecting our industry? Anybody following that?
Yeah, I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, there's small towns, obviously, but there's no venues anywhere near there. It's just the smoke that's going into Reno and then further east.
And Vegas. We got a ton of smoke last week.
Oh yeah.
I live less than a mile from the stratosphere, and I had trouble seeing the stratosphere from my front yard one day last week.
Yeah, Saturday was very thick here in Vegas. You know, and I just saw this morning a report where there was a professor that just got caught by authorities as an arsonist that set like several fires up in Dixie. It's unbelievable, the people that
yeah, it's strange that how people can do that kind of damage and destroy people's lives and homes and everything just by setting fires on purpose. It's a scary thought.
Hey, Shan, wasn't there a song called Dixie or something that was sung back in like the 50s or 60s?
I believe Steve knows that song. Basically, it's a Southern song. It was a theme from the Civil War, I believe. I think that's when it came out. Oh, I wish I was in the land of cotton. I think that's how it goes. I don't know if that song. I don't think that song is now. What do they say?
Appropriate.
Appropriate or correct anymore. And it's probably one of those things that goes the ways of the dodo bird. That's gone. And I understand why. It's so funny about how things are politically correct these days and what's going on. And for those people in New York, you got a new governor. You got the first woman governor ever in the history of the state of New York. So there could be some really interesting changes going on in New York. Anyway, that's about the size of it. The sun is just about to come up, but you can't really see enough. I would love to show you the view from here so you can see what it's like in Thailand and in Phuket.
And none of us want to see the sunrise over the beach in your tropical apartment in Thailand. None of us care. Just keep it to yourself. We like the nice beige background.
So you're no longer in a hotel?
No, this is an apartment. I rented an apartment. Okay. And I would love to show you where you can get for $1,000 here because it would blow your mind. It would blow your mind. Basically, I've got a 3-bedroom penthouse apartment overlooking both the Laguna, and beyond the Laguna is the Straits of Malacca, which is part of the Andaman Sea, which is part of the Indian Ocean. And so there you go. I've become a knowledgeable guy on geography here. Unfortunately, like I said, you'll have to Google it to make sure I pronounce the names correctly. But that's where it's at.
Are you still in Phuket?
I am in Phuket. And
you're stuck in Phuket, right?
I don't feel like I'm stuck at all. I feel like, if I wanted to leave here, I can leave. But, I would have to have my mind. I'll tell you a story. So I was going to go up to Chiang Mai because I have a friend up there, a girlfriend up there, that I really wanted to visit. And so before I did that, they closed all of the airspace. And so I was going to take a van up there. I was going to rent a van, a driver, and, see the countryside. But before I did, one of my friends who was here before me, a guy by the name of David, he introduced me to a woman. Her name is Lita, and her husband works for the king on the police department. He works on the Royal Police Department for the king. And so I called her up on David's recommendation of what he thinks I should do, what I should be careful of. And Lita called me back and said, my husband says, don't go under any circumstance. You would have to be a moron to go. He says, if you go and they stop you, they're going to throw you in quarantine wherever they catch you. 14 days in quarantine. So I decided not to do that.
So you're saying that quarantine is not a 3-bedroom penthouse apartment overlooking the lagoon and the straits of whatever, which lead to the Indian Ocean?
That's correct. I am not in quarantine. I have access to anywhere on the island now. I can go anywhere in the country.
How big of an island is it?
Leave. What was that?
How big of an island is it?
It's the size of Singapore.
Oh, okay. So it's not like it's not like one grocery store.
Oh, no. This is a major metropolitan area, but it happens to be in a beautiful area of, what can I say, paradise. That's what I would say. It's paradise. Couldn't be any nicer. Anyway, is there anybody else that has anything that they want to say before we say goodbye to our YouTube audience? And then they can wait till next week to see if we're going to show them paradise from our penthouse apartment window.
All right, I want to say that the last couple of weeks I wasn't on. I was out doing things, and then I would watch what you were all doing online after the fact. And 2 weeks in a row, I heard you say, does anybody watch the Olympics? And not one person answered that they watched the Olympics. I don't get it. I watched everything that I could. I fast forwarded through a ton of stuff, but I loved watching the Olympics. I thought they were great.
Very cool. Listen, I've been on a little too long. I had too much coffee. I got to excuse myself for a minute. You guys carry on without me. I'll be back.
Hey, David, I watched some of the Olympics too.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the opening and closing ceremonies were very disappointing.
Well, I didn't catch that part.
No, they were very esoteric and not moving at all. It was supposed to be a lot of this kind of stuff instead of this kind of stuff. But the games, audio was fine, the video was fine. They covered everything, and of course, the U.S. did really well. I had a great time.
The Olympics have not interested me in years, to be honest with you.
Well, I watched like the basketball. I was interested in the girls' soccer. I was definitely interested in.
I believe it's women's soccer.
Women's soccer, yes.
Just FYI.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there were a lot.
I watched some of the track. Watching those guys run. I'm like, holy crap! I'm going to shape if I ever have to run like that.
Yeah, I mean, I watched like the highlights, and then I watched the finals a lot. I was away for the week. When I came home, my TiVo was loaded with about 60 3-hour programs, and I just sat and looked for the finals, which were pretty interesting, and I thought they were really good. And then, follow sports that you don't normally see. The bicycling, I didn't realize that they're constantly rotating out of the pack and coming back in again. It's the strangest thing. They're all in a line going around the track, and then you see somebody near the front goes up higher on the track and goes back and goes down again. And 6 or 8 of them do the same thing at a time. And it's drafting or something, I don't know, but I thought they just raced from the beginning to the end. But I thought that was really interesting. Stuff like that, you know. Fencing, how it's all electronic now. You know, you touch the guy and his head lights up. You get a green light, you know you did well. So I enjoyed the hell out of the Olympics. That's all I can say. The parts I watched.
I'm glad they're over, so we can go back to normal television programming and get back to regular league play of soccer.
Well, the beautiful thing about the Olympics is I was listening to that the television attendance was way down, but the streaming was way up. And with Peacock and with YouTube and all these different ways that you could see the Olympics, from streaming, a lot of people did watch it, and you could watch it in your leisure.
Well, I had a TiVo for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, if anybody else has anything, this would be the time. Otherwise, we're going to say goodbye to the YouTube and Facebook audiences. But the sun has just come up, and so I might want to show you guys what's going on over here. So, does anybody else have anything they want to say?
Goodbye, YouTube people. Goodbye.
Okay. Before we do that, let's do this. Let me start this going. If you guys can see this, let me mute this one. I'm going to change. I'll be back. I will come on. Got to mute this.
Mix minus.
There we go. Now I'm muted. And now you should be able to hear me. Can you hear me? Yeah, there we go. So this is what I'm looking at right now. This is my little command center here. I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to show you around a little bit here. Why don't I can't really see it. I see David for some reason, but I can't see me.
We're not seeing your phone yet, Jan. We're still seeing your desktop deal.
What are you seeing?
We're not seeing your phone yet.
Where's your phone?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
you're good. You're good, Jan. You were good.
There we go. Now you should be able to see it. Let me do one more thing here.
Oh, there you are. Okay,
stop.
I got you.
There we go. Now you can see what I'm doing. So let's go take a look. So now just remember, this is $1,000 US money that I'm paying. You're looking at right now, there I am, and there is an 86-inch TV, and this is the living room that I have. Now check this out, guys. I bought this guitar, and let me put it on. This guitar for $60 US, $60 US, and it sounds. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep, and I swear this guitar in the United States would be about $800. It was amazing. But let me show you. This is what it's all about. That's the lagoon in front of us. And then in the background, that's the Indian Ocean, the Strait of Molucca, and the Andaman Sea. And that is the view that you get.
Can you go sideways with your phone, Jan?
No, yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Much better. Much better.
So how long until you buy it?
So, and then this is the living room with an island kitchen. And the interesting thing is, I'll show you this as well, is that if we go out the front door, this is the view. It's just amazing, and that's the hallway. So you could see, and basically my apartment takes most of the space. And so you look in, it's got a washing machine, it's got a bathroom there. This is where the magic happens, if there was magic to be happening. But this is my bedroom, and this is even a better view. And all of this is possible because of SoundBroker.com. And I am really appreciative of, and there's 3 bedrooms. This one I'm using as storage because I'm here alone. And the other bedroom looks exactly the same. So that's what we got going on here in Thailand. I'm really roughing it. And let me come back let me shut this off and go back to my own video. And leave.
No, you're muted. Unmute.
And that's what you guys can get for $1,000 here in Thailand, which is pretty amazing. How much do you think that place would cost in Las Vegas, Mike?
Oh, 3-bedroom. Well, of course, we don't have a lagoon next to the Straits of Paprika overlooking
Maluka, baby. It's a Maluka.
The Indian Ocean. Right. But if we did have waterfront 3-bedroom apartments, and it looked like you were what, 6 or 7 stories up, something like that?
7 floors up. I'm on the penthouse.
So 7th floor penthouse, 30. That's probably, I'd say that's a $6,000 to $8,000 a month apartment.
Yep. Paul, what about in Austin?
About the same. It would be very, very expensive in Austin. Rents are extremely high here and going up all the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just amazing. Could you imagine that place in Malibu, David?
No, because Malibu, first of all, doesn't have too many 7-story apartments where you can see the ocean. It's all private homes. So that would make it even more valuable.
Yeah, that'd be in Malibu. I'd say that's probably $15,000 a month in Malibu.
Yeah. And so, I mean, basically everything is so reasonably priced here. It's great. Anyway, for those guys on YouTube and Facebook that you got to see that, thanks for coming. Try to join us on the panel next week. Actually, next week, I'm really debating right now whether or not I'm going to up and go into a webinar rather than the meeting that we have right now where you just click and join. The next week, you might have to click a button to come into the room as well. I'll walk you through it at the time, but it's pretty simple. It'll be like office hours, Paul. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what office hours is all about.
You come into the room and then I let you in the room. So it's like there's a hallway and then you walk into the main room. So you'll be in the hallway and I'll let you in.
So you're going to be Alex now? Is that the deal?
No, I'll never be Alex. I'll never be an Alex. That's all. I'll always be a Jan. Just remember.
Just kidding.
Just remember this,
so
everybody.
It's ridiculous.
The key to success in life is to be yourself. And that's because everyone else is taken. So be yourself. Remember, you make it happen.
I'm sorry, Dr. Fauci. What was that? I'm sorry.
I said, you make it happen, baby, because you can only be yourself because everyone else is taken. So be yourself. And with that in mind, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll be back next week, 3 p.m. on the West Coast, 6 p.m. on the East Coast. I hope you can join us. Remember, if you want to be part of the panel, just send me an email or put a comment in Facebook or YouTube, and we'll put you on the panel as well.
What
so
day
with
is
that
that
in mind,
Jan? What day?
With that in mind, we're going to say goodbye to all those people on YouTube and Facebook. Adios, muchachos, and stay safe, be healthy, and remember, you make it happen. Be back next week. And
So
join
what
us.
day is that?
Wednesday, every Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, if I'm getting up to be at 5 o'clock in the morning here, you can come and join us too at a normal hour between 3 and 6.
Jan, who are you kidding? You're like one of those old people that just wakes up at 5 every day because that's what old people do.
Well, yeah, because that the old prostate thing keeps you up going and keeps you flowing.